Hopes of early peace in Ukraine dying down. Russian successes on the battlefield give Putin a new confidence. Ukraine faces a difficult winter. Through President Putin's India visit, what stood out, other of course than all the bilateral agreements reached and announced, was the sheer confidence that Putin exuded. He appeared more confident than he ever has, perhaps, through the course of almost 4 years of this grinding war with Ukraine. Putin's new confidence arises from the relative success of this war for Russia, going at the moment better for it than it has at any time, really, since it began in February of 2022. Russian forces have gained a good deal of ground in the Donbas region, that is to the east of Ukraine, and they don't look like they're done yet. The Russians have claimed capture now of the critical Pokrovsk city. Ukraine says it still has control of some parts of the city, but without doubt, Russian forces have entered the city and have substantial control over it already. And this appears a halt, not a destination for the Russians. Putin did speak of peace through this visit, as a desire is the name. He paid homage at the altar of peace and non-violence in Delhi. But Pokrovsk is a long way from Rajghat in every sense. And the position on the ground in Pokrovsk and around suggests that peace is a long, long way away yet, short of any full Ukrainian surrender. And that does not look very likely or imminent either, despite having lost Pokrovsk or a substantial part of it to the Russians. But this has been a critical loss for Ukraine, and on the other side, of course, a critical factor in the new Russian confidence and its ground strategies to follow that confidence. Pokrovsk is a logistics and transport base in Donetsk. It lies on a critical road for Ukraine to supply its front positions along the border with Russia, and is close to the only coal mine in Ukraine that once fed its steel industry. Russian media speak of it as the gateway to Donetsk. And the once humming little city is now in ruins, but Pokrovsk is, as Putin clearly indicated, only the pivot to launch a further advance, or the bridgehead, as he put it. So Putin, away from polite protocol, is really talking more war, not peace. Pokrovsk could become the springboard for a Russian advance now towards Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. And control of those two cities in Ukraine could now determine the future course of this war, which is why the Russians have pushed so hard for Pokrovsk in the first place as the gateway to these, and the Ukrainians have resisted so strongly. Kramatorsk is a key administrative and military center for Ukraine. Sloviansk is an important military garrison and town, and Sloviansk has come under sharp attack over recent days. Given the new Russian determination, it was no surprise that US envoy Steve Witkoff returned empty-handed from Moscow after close to 5 hours of talks with Putin, which was just before Putin departed for India. It does appear that Putin will not stop short of a complete control, at least of Donbas, which he declared to be a part of Russia in a proclamation on September the 30th of 2022. The Russians look prepared now to step up their momentum to fulfill that proclamation. The critical question is how far and how long the Ukrainians will or can resist, and that would depend in turn heavily on the extent of US commitment that does not appear very dependable at the moment at all.
I don't give away anything. We sell the equipment to NATO. The European nations pay us for the equipment 100% price, and then they bring it to Ukraine or whatever they do with it.
Putin does appear certain to a considerable extent that Trump will not proceed very heavily against him, and not certainly after Trump laid out the red carpet for him, not after Trump opposed a ceasefire on the ground that Russia may have its military objectives. Trump has tariffed India an additional 25% for buying oil from Russia in some sort of show of support, really, and he has also announced a degree of sanctions against some leading Russian oil companies, but that's about as far as he's gone. And in turn, Putin remains soft on Trump. He keeps his strong stuff against Europe.
Вопрос в чем? Если Европа вдруг начнет с нами войну, мне кажется, что очень быстрый. Это же не Украина.
Boosted by this confidence, Putin may well now plan a push beyond Donbas. Where will this end? When will this war end? Not in a hurry, it seems, going by all the indications on the ground and all the signs through the talks. It will be a difficult winter for Ukraine and perhaps difficult times past the winter.
Been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.